You ever get that feeling that you're just giving it your all in a relationship, but the energy you're getting back doesn't quite match? Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful concept called the girlfriend and wife audit. Think of it as a way to do an honest check-in to see if the investment you're pouring into your relationship really lines up with the level of commitment you're getting in return.
And really, it all comes down to this one question, and it's a big one. Are you performing wife duties for a girlfriend title? Just let that sink in for a second. This is all about spotting that potential mismatch between what you do for him and the relationship, and what the relationship actually is on paper. So this brings us right to the core of the issue, right? The whole girlfriend title, wife duties problem. It's a trap so many people fall into. You're pouring your heart, soul, and energy into building a life, only to look up and realize the security and commitment just aren't there. It's the classic case of overinvesting. Now, I want to be super clear about something. This is not about keeping score. It's not about being petty. The whole point of an audit like this is about self-protection. It's just about making sure that your investment, your time, your money, your heart, is being met with an equal level of commitment and, frankly, security. You're just looking out for your own future. Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we have to get specific. Let's actually break down what we mean by these two different levels, the girlfriend phase versus the wife partnership. Because these aren't just labels, you know? They are completely different stages of a relationship, and they come with totally different rules, goals, and expectations. And when you lay it out like this, you can see just how massive the shift is. At the girlfriend level, everything is about discovery. You're just trying to see if you two are even compatible. Finances are usually separate, you're more like two individuals. But then look at the jump to the wife level. Suddenly, the goal isn't just compatibility, it's building a legacy. Finances become our money. And that commitment, it goes from just an emotional agreement to a real deal legal and social contract. That difference is absolutely everything.
Of course, there are pros and cons to being in the girlfriend phase. On one hand, you have flexibility. It's an easy out if things aren't working. But the cons, wow, they're huge. You have basically zero legal protection, very little long-term security. And this leads to the biggest danger of all, the forever girlfriend syndrome. That's where you're giving all the benefits of a wife, but you're getting none of the security in return.
So let's make this personal. How does this all apply to you? It's time for a quick little self-audit. We're going to run through 3 very direct questions to help you figure out if you might be over-investing in your relationship as it stands right now.
First up, let's talk money. Ask yourself this, and be honest. Am I paying for his lifestyle or helping him with his debts, all while having zero legal claim to any of his assets? This one is massive, because if the relationship ends, all that money you put in, it's just gone. It leaves you totally vulnerable.
Okay, next audit, the domestic side. Are you the one cleaning his place, doing his laundry, cooking all his meals, while he kind of just treats you like a very helpful guest? Come on, there's a huge difference between contributing to a shared life and just becoming someone's unpaid house manager. And finally, let's look at the emotional labor. Are you playing the role of his therapist, his personal cheerleader, and his life coach, basically carrying all of his emotional baggage while he's emotionally checked out when it comes to your needs? That kind of one-way street is not just unfair, it's completely draining. It's a huge red flag for overinvestment.
So, what if that little audit hit a bit too close to home? Well, it might be time for the talk. And look, this isn't about picking a fight. Not at all. We're just going to look at a really simple, clear framework for having a calm, productive conversation to figure out if you're both actually walking down the same path.
The key to a good conversation here is to do it in 3 phases. First, you start with a State of the Union. You begin by talking about what's great, the positive stuff. That way he doesn't immediately get defensive. Then, you gently start defining the duties, using specific, non-blaming examples of where things feel a little lopsided. And finally, and this is so important, you gauge his point of view. You start asking questions that get him to reveal what he really sees for your future.
And if you want a question that really just cuts right through the noise, try this one. When you think about us 5 years from now, do you see our lives as 2 separate paths that are just running side by side? Or do you see one single path where we share everything? Whoa. His answer to that tells you so much. Is he thinking of you as a permanent fixture or just a temporary travel buddy? It's the difference between a parallel journey and a true merge.
And honestly, his actions are going to tell you way more than his words ever will. Green flags? He includes you in his 5-year financial plans. He values your opinion on big life decisions. But the red flags are just as clear. He's making huge purchases without even telling you. Or he hits you with those vague lines like, "I'm not ready for titles, let's just flow," anytime you bring up the future.
Okay, but what happens if that conversation makes it crystal clear that you are not on the same page? Well, this brings us to the most critical part of this whole thing, aligning your actions with that new reality. This is the okay, now what moment.
Listen, this is probably the single most important thing to take away from all of this. If a man tells you he is not ready for a wife-level commitment, you need to believe him. Your job is not to try harder or to convince him or to audition for the part. Your job is to protect yourself, and you do that by pulling your effort back to match his level of commitment. This isn't about punishment, it's about setting healthy boundaries for yourself.
So what does that actually look like in real life? Well, check this out. At the wife level, if there's a crisis, his problem is your problem. But at the girlfriend level, your role is to listen and be supportive while he solves it. See that shift? Or maybe you're always managing his calendar. At the girlfriend level, nope, he can manage his own schedule. It's about shifting from being his de facto manager back to just being his partner.
The good news is you don't need some huge dramatic confrontation to do this. You can use what's called a soft pivot. For example, the busy strategy. You're just too busy with your own life and your own goals to do his laundry. Or try the consultation strategy. When he asks for help, you give him advice, but you put the responsibility to actually do the thing back on him. And the financial wall? That one's simple. It's a hard stop, a non-negotiable boundary to protect your own money.
And if you feel like you do need to say something directly, here's a great script you can adapt. I've realized I'm providing wife-level support for girlfriend security. To protect my own future, I just need to take a step back from, and then you name the specific thing. See how that's not an attack? It frames your actions as what they are, an act of self-preservation.
You know, all of this really boils down to one single crucial shift in your mindset. This is the big idea, the ultimate takeaway that can turn this entire audit from something that feels kind of negative into an act of genuine empowerment.
Because here's the ultimate test. When you pull back on all that extra labor, you create a vacuum. You create space. And his reaction to that space tells you everything you need to know. A man who truly values you will see that space and rush to fill it with more commitment. But a man who only valued your labor, well, he's just going to complain that the free services have been cut off.
So let's just end with this thought. You cannot work your way into a marriage. A man doesn't marry a woman because of all the services she provides. He marries her because he recognizes her incredible value and he is genuinely afraid of what his life would look like without her in it. That is the foundation of a real partnership.